Hello and welcome to another episode of Eat In with Adam and John, me being Adam. And today we're going to again delve into my favorite meal of the day, dessert. And so what we're going to make is German chocolate cake. Alright, to start with, we need to take the, voila, German's chocolate. And we're going to need to melt it in half a cup of boiling water. Let's see, my water's almost boiling. So we'll just break it up to help this out. The next step is to cream the butter and sugar together. So in this case, we're going to need 1 cup of butter. Or in my case, it's going to be Smart Balance. It's almost butter, extra good. Well, as you can see, my water's boiling now. Turn that off. I'm going to pour this over the sink so I don't scald myself. So again, you take half a cup of boiling water and you melt 4 ounces of German's sweet chocolate in it. It's about 1 cup of butter. 2 cups of sugar. You can never have too much sugar in anything you eat. This is dessert after all. Alright, and back to the butter and sugar. So basically you're just sort of cutting the butter into the sugar. It's not going to be like really mixing. When you get it all mixed in together, it looks kind of like this. I'm going to add 4 egg yolks. Okay, 4 egg yolks. And I'm saving the egg whites because I'm going to need to use them later. So my way is to just sort of pass the egg yolk back and forth on the shell. And after we add the 4 egg yolks, we now do 1 teaspoon of vanilla. The chocolate. Now add this to this mix. And I mean, it's not completely melted in, but it's good enough. I mean, it's nowhere near the big bar of chocolate that it was before. Well, it definitely smells good. Next is I add the dry ingredients in, and that is 2 1/2 cups of flour. I like to sneak some whole wheat flour in whenever I cook. Since this is a heartier cake in my mind, I'm willing to put in 1/2 cup of whole wheat flour. So then I'll also add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Also need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then also 1/2 teaspoon of salt. First I'll sort of mix the flour with the baking soda and the salt a little bit. And I'll go ahead and add the buttermilk, which is 1 cup of buttermilk. I like buttermilk. And then we mix this all up together. Alright, so there's the batter all nice and mixed. You don't want, I mean, there's going to be some chunks, but again, this is a hearty cake, so that's fine. You just don't want big chunks where you end up having like a pocket of just flour or something. Just sugar might be okay, but just flour, nah. Alright, next is we need to make the egg whites stiff and then fold them in. Anyway, so basically I take the egg whites that I set aside and I just start aerating them by beating them with the whisk. It's a little tiring actually. I'm already exhausted. It's supposed to be nice and thick, and the whole point of folding this in instead of mixing it in is that it's supposed to help keep the cake a little lighter and aerate it a little better. Right, so then you just sort of fold it in. I mean, it's sort of like mixing but in slow motion, because obviously you want to get it sort of throughout the batter. You don't want a big egg clot, but it's just not as vigorous because you're hoping not to pop all the little bubbles you made. It's always good to grease and flour your pans. These used to be non-stick, but they're kind of not anymore. This is basically to make sure that the cake will just pop right out when you're done cooking it. And I don't know why exactly you have to do both grease and flour. I just know you do, because I've done that experiment and it's just a hassle having to get the cake out. Now we can add the cake batter. I'm ladling in just because there's just so much batter. I'm afraid if I tried pouring it straight from the bowl that it would, I'd lose control of it and end up with a big mess. And we're gonna bake this for 30 to 35 minutes. We'll go with 30 minutes. 30 minutes at 350 degrees. And normally I think of frosting is coming from like the shelf or the refrigerator, but in this case, making it from scratch. So the first thing, I need 1 cup of evaporated milk. How they evaporate it exactly, I don't know. I want to put this on like medium-ish heat. I know, I'm cooking the frosting. Next is 1 cup of sugar. All right, after that is 3 egg yolks. Well, I already showed you how to get the yolks out, so I'm just gonna pour them right in. After that is 1/2 cup of butter. I mean, this almost feels like I'm making the cake again. Sugar, milk, butter, and then of course 1 teaspoon of vanilla, because vanilla is, I think, one of the most awesome spices out there. All right, so now we are going to cook this until obviously the butter's melted and the sugar's dissolved, and then we'll keep cooking until it starts to thicken. So to make sure that the cake is done, take a handy dandy toothpick, pop it into, I like that one, pop it in about the thickest spot, pull it out, it should come away clean just like that. So our cake is definitely done. All right, so the recipe said to stir it until it thickens. A key thing to remember is do not let it boil. You do not want boiling. Now, I've done this, it's now thicker. It might not look thicker with just me pouring it out like this, but when I'm stirring it, I can now actually see the bottom of the pan as the fluid isn't able to completely fill in behind it as fast as when I just started out in the process. So it's definitely thicker. We need 1 cup of chopped pecans that you mix in. And then after that, 1 cup and 1/3 of shredded coconut. And you mix all this together. So I let the cake cool down, let the frosting cool down. Should all be perfectly fine to touch, you know, not hot at all. And I went ahead and made 2 layers with the frosting between each layer. Even though I floured the cake pans ahead of time, a couple of the cake did stick. What you do if it looks like it's sticking is you can use a butter knife to go around the edges, sometimes because it's just the edges that are sticking. If that doesn't seem to be enough, you could take like a small spatula or whatever and sort of scoop it in the sides and lift it up a little bit and just add 3rd layer on. And then obviously you take the last of the frosting and just put it on top. This has been another episode of Eat In with Adam and John. We have a website where we put our recipes. I have no idea what that website might be. Okay, I do. It's http://eatin with Adam and John. That's John spelled JON.weebly.com. Thank you, and I hope you'll watch some of our future episodes.